I'm Danielle Schneider, and this is Talking Orange. There are state and federal laws which state that we need to protect and preserve cultural resources. They detail how to handle that process as well as what to do if you can avoid them. And so my job is to make sure that we adhere to those laws and regulations so that we don't get in any trouble. And also, I think very importantly, my role is to make sure that we are preserving as many of the cultural resources as we possibly can.
As we get the resource out of the ground, as we recover these data, these artifacts, what we'll find is a better understanding of those people who lived here before us.
It's important for an agency like UDOT to find the balance between preservation and development. Here we are doing some testing of sites to kind of see what's out here. We've also excavated some other sites just down the road.
So we started out by basically identifying what's on the surface. So if we had a cluster of artifacts on the surface, that gave us a start point. We said, okay, over here there's nothing and over here there's something. Let's see why. So that was the initial, and then we get it out of the ground by simply digging. And we do it in such using a scientific method helps us understand how things played out in the past. We just do it incrementally in 10 centimeter increments, and everything within this 10 centimeter versus that 10 centimeter, we document it. Then we went to the second phase, which is the final for this testing, which is to bring in the big guns. We brought in a track hoe, and we're digging the mechanical trenches. Those actually open a bigger window. If you want to look at each of these testing phases as windows, opening a small window shows you a small amount of the beauty of the lake here. You want to see the whole lake, you got to have a big window. And so that's why we went to actually mechanical trenching. And that's when we actually were able to identify several thermal features. We don't have them truly identified as the specifics yet. That will be the next phase of this project. Southern Utah, especially the St. George Basin area here, as we've come to find out in archaeology, is a very rich history in the past. I mean, it runs all the way back to the Clovis culture, coming out of the last ice age, all the way up to, contact with the local tribes and bands in the Utah pioneers.
You find a lot of projectile points, or arrowheads as people commonly call them. Also, there's pottery. You can find grinding stones like metates, kind of anything, and all the way even to historic artifacts from when people first settled the area, the Euro-Americans first settled the area.
This is a spear point that would probably date back to at least 6,000 years ago. We don't really know, what particular name or band or tribe or whatever they would have been. They're the precursors obviously to the modern groups that are here and the Native Americans that are currently occupying this area. So you'll see that early time period, but what we then see is a continuation. So you get into what is the most common and what drives a lot of people interested in the history of this area is what we call the Anasazi occupation, or the ancient Puebloans. Those people occupied this area and were real interesting because they brought ceramics, North Creek Gray and the North Creek Corrugated. These are the local virgin Anasazi ceramics that they would have been making locally. They brought the bow and arrow, and these are arrow points, and you see they're much smaller, they're thinner, even though they have similar patterning and designs as the atlatl points, they are much smaller. They brought domesticated plants and domesticated some wildlife. We know that they domesticated the turkey. That would have been used either as a knife or a hide scraper. There definitely is trade coming through this area and through this region prehistorically. So we actually found shell beads as well, and those are not uncommon for the Southwest, but they're definitely a trade item. They're usually the shell that we find is being used to create these beads is coming from the coasts, from either California or even as far away as the Gulf Coast in Texas. We move right on out of there so that's about they come in and they terminate about AD 1400 or 1350, depending on whatever you want to debate on any given day. But after they occupy this area, then you get what we have, and we find the local groups, the Paiute, the Ute, the Navajo, Hopi, the names of the groups and bands who currently occupy this region.
As Carlos always says, thank you for all you do. Be safe out there. Buckle up, put your cell phones down, and remember, you keep Utah moving.